Hello, it's Spence, the evil genius, with your WordPress tip of the day. Guys, for the beginning of how we're going to get started here looking for new clients, I'm going to introduce you now to the push method for finding somebody who may be a potential client, and more importantly, somebody with whom you can build a relationship. Now, the push method differs from the pull method that you'll learn throughout here in the 3-day bootcamp by way of the fact that it's pushing a ready-made solution onto a potential prospect. In the pull method that I'm going to show you throughout the rest of the 1WD 3-day bootcamp, you're going to be pulling somebody in to a relationship with you. Now, the differences may be subtle, but the main point is that in this example I'm going to show you, this is how you create something that has a likely person ready to buy it. It has nothing to do with whether they need a long-term or bigger design relationship with you. It has more to do with you finding something that they didn't realize existed, which is important to them. Now, in our other coursework, such as the video membership kit, we do this for yoga instructors or music instructors or even attorneys as well by showing them that their existing clients would be happy to pay for their content if it was available online. Here we're going to do something along those lines, but a little more simple. We're going to find professional folks who are available in an area of your choosing, anywhere around the globe, but it's going to be demonstrated here for a United States city, that have perhaps forgotten to register their own personal name as a domain. Now, why is this important? Well, imagine you're an attorney, as I am, and I've got a business presence at my law practice. Maybe it's my own practice or I work at a firm, but I forget that I need to actually register my own personal name. Well, what are the consequences of that? Well, quite frankly, they could be severe. And that's the reason why you coming up with a push solution could be something that leads to a much more beneficial long-term relationship. What if, for example, Spencer Foreman or some variation of that was involved in the adult film industry or was convicted of some kind of heinous crime down in Florida? Or maybe I was confused because I just recently had an operation to change my sex or gender. Now, would that be something I wanted as a professional? Maybe. Depends on what I wanted as a career goal. But if I was practicing law and I didn't think those things were really my intent, I'd probably want to make sure that when somebody searched for my name, Spencer Foreman, they arrived where I want them to go. Do you follow my meaning? Let me show you more concretely. If I was to go over here to Google and google.com, and you type in the name of any person you may already know. In my case, let's start with Spencer Foreman. Obviously, I'm in the business, so what comes up here is, first of all, my real estate development company had a business listing on Google Local, and then my own domain name, and my own LinkedIn, and my own picture. Now, you'll notice there's another gentleman here who happens to be in New Jersey. That's Dr. Spencer Foreman. He's a dentist. And there's another young fella actually who lives in my neighborhood who is also Spencer Foreman. But you'll notice that what I have is control over the primary Spencer Foreman search. It comes to my domain, my LinkedIn, my websites like LabZip, YouTube channel, Facebook, etc. And that means that people don't end up at the wrong address. I mean, what if you're an attorney named Ron Jeremy? Uh-oh. What happens? Uh-oh. I don't think this is the guy I'm going to be hiring for my divorce. So, what do we do about this? Well, imagine a situation where you were able to see the professionals in a particular area who are capable of paying to have you help them out to not only secure their domain for their personal reference, like Spencer Foreman, but could also get it done in a quick and easy way. One-click purchase, right? If you price that at something reasonable, maybe $99, that would be a great entree into a relationship that could lead to more stuff. For example, maybe their professional website needs some help, or maybe they need some help with newsletter marketing. Maybe they need some security questions or other WordPress assistance that they just didn't know whom to call. By pushing a ready-made solution to a pain that they didn't realize they probably have, but that you already have a pre-bundled solution, you give yourself an excuse to contact them. The cost and time of doing so is very minimal. So let's break this down. I have a demo site set up here which is done at one of my Bluehost reseller accounts. And we have a course, the Earn 3K This Weekend course, that shows you how to set up your own reseller account at Bluehost for as little as $19 a month. Here I've set up a demo site that's on an individual domain that I can key into each of my prospects. And this is using our Responsive LabZip child theme. I can set this up in literally under 3 to 4 minutes with data that's already available on the web. And in so doing, this is what I can use as the bait, the push, to send out to a prospect. In this case, don't be confused. I'm using myself as the prospect, but I'm also using myself as the representation of what could be done. All right, so why or how am I going to find a particular prospect? The why is you're going to find somebody who is already an established professional who you can verify doesn't have their personal name registered. The how is using free online tools, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So let's start out with the basic tools. First of all, if we were to pick a profession, I would suggest that you go with somebody that understands that their name and reputation is important. For this purpose, we could go with lots of different options, but I think attorneys are pretty reasonable. They tend not to be very technical in nature, but they do tend to understand social media. They tend not to have the time to go ahead and set something up themselves, but they're also kind of feisty if you don't give them the right price. So in other words, they're kind of like poker players or hagglers, and I am one of them, so I can say this. It's all in the approach. Now, the benefit of using attorneys as your target is there's lots of them, especially in the United States, and it's easy to figure out who might be a prospect. Let's go to a website called avvo.com. It's avvo.com. Here you can search for an attorney based on geography or practice or anything else. Now, this is easy. I'm going to click on Find a Lawyer. Let's use Spencer Foreman as an example. I selected View by Top Cities and chose Chicago. And I obviously know Spencer Foreman, so I could type that in, and here's this character over here. Now you notice I haven't practiced since 1997, so I don't have any industry recognition because my friends and people I know haven't been putting up here. But thankfully, I've got some good conduct, so I'm in a good position to give you this as an example. Now, here's the beauty of this. You don't have to search for a specific lawyer. You can actually search based upon any other criterion. For example, you can go back, and let's say you wanted to pick family attorneys or bankruptcy. Okay, let's try family. Family attorneys in Chicago, there's 851 alone. And when you go through, it's funny, Paul Masano used to be in my office. That's funny. These are sponsored listings, but you can go down here and then you can click and see, for example, any details we've got. She's got a good rating. She looks like a very friendly person. Now let's find out if she's got a website for her own name. Now we see there's an email here that you can go through Avvo, and we see that there's a website which is going to be useful in a minute if we want to tie together to her website. Now this is a beautiful website. Most attorneys you'll find today do have great websites. They have their phone number, the contact, all that. But that's not what we're after. What we want to see is if we take Wendy's name and copy it, and let's go on over to GoDaddy.com. And let's just type it in as is here. See what happens. The good news is, as I expected, Wendy Marie Musilak is available because she hasn't secured it. Let's check further and see whether or not just her first and last name come up as available. I think they are, so it took me right to the cart. Let's try it again. I'm gonna get rid of the space, search for it. And as I expected, it's available. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I tested this and I found, even though I'm an attorney and I knew a lot of these folks, about 80 to 85% of everybody I knew or could think of that was an attorney or a doctor had not registered their own personal name as a .com. Now think about how crazy that is. We know as web designers that Google will give huge preference when somebody's got their own domain name for it to show up first. So if you wanted to tell somebody that, hey, the best way to make sure you don't turn out to be like Ron Jeremy, the lawyer, is to get your own domain name, this is the best way to do it. Second benefit is if they do ask for more services, this could be used for things, for example, like email. What's better if you have to contact somebody who's a friend or family member or a potential client than to say Spencer at spencerforeman.com, Wendy at wendymusilak.com. Isn't that better than wendymusilak1257 at gmail.com? I think so. These are benefits that you can outline very simply in an introductory letter. So if we were to go ahead and see that, okay, this person's domain is available. Now the next step is we can set up a very simple one-page site. Now, since I'm going to use myself instead of Wendy or anybody else, I'm going to go ahead and go from there with this situation. This is my example. And all I did to set this up was I used the responsive parent theme and any WordPress website. Now, as I've shown you before, we want to set up a reseller account at Bluehost. And to do that, you could type in 1WDTV hosting, and it will take you to bluehost.com, and you'll get the benefit of our affiliate deal, which if you go over here, products, we want to go to reseller hosting. There it is. And the deal here is $19.95 for a server that will hold at a minimum 25, probably as many as 50 prospects. And the reason you can hold more is because you're really not doing anything with these sites. In fact, it probably could do 100 of them because you're just doing a one-page parked landing site. Really simple. Now, we have full instructions on how to set up a WordPress site in a couple clicks, and there will be a link below this video for you to do that. But let's assume that we've set up our WordPress site. This is how easy it is to make it look just like this. So we've gone ahead and installed the responsive LabZip child theme in this case. And if you don't even want to do that, you can start with the parent. If you just do the responsive parent, it's good enough because all we're going to do is add some basic CSS to get this result. The next thing we did is we set up the theme options. We click on theme options, and one of the things we want to set up is the home page. I want to make sure that the checkbox is here that says overrides the WordPress front page option. Then what I'm going to do is put in the contact info that I got right off of Avo. So let's go back to Avo for Spencer, myself, find a lawyer, Spencer Foreman. Okay, and all I really needed to do is grab this contact info here. Right? So I copied this, I went over into theme options, and I pretty much pasted that right here. The next thing I did, and if you prefer, you can go into Visual Editor. I pasted that right here. Next is I grabbed the link for the map, which is handy because as you can see, it pops up a neat little Google map of where my offices may be located. So I just copied that link, and I went ahead and put that here. I typed view map, and then I added the link, and then I went ahead and added the link with the tool here that allows me to do so. And if you prefer, you can also just use the HTML editor. So here is the actual full URL that I had copied. And I went ahead and put in business website. Now again, remember for Wendy, she already had this great website. For me, Spencer, I have a website that's a nice little placeholder at spencerforeman.com, acts as a hub. So what I did is I said, okay, this Spencer guy, he probably wants people to link out to either his law firm website or maybe he's got some other kind of existing business website. Let's just put that in there so he knows that he can do it, right? Business website. So I typed business website. I went ahead and added the link in there as well. And then lastly, an email me. And that's where it became handy as well because remember for Wendy and even for me, most people will have on their business website a direct email. So here I just copied the email address, Spencer at spencerforeman.com, and I added that in as a link as well. And all that is really super easy. It doesn't take more than a couple seconds. Now, in order to add the rest of it, I wanted to put in a call to action, and I also wanted to put in an image. The image was easy because Avo already gave me the image. So there's two ways to do this. One is I can right-click and save the image as, and I can save it to my desktop here. I save this as Spencer Foreman JPEG, for example. The other is to use a plugin that we can add in called Grab and Save. So I went to Plugins, Add New, and then I searched for Grab and Save. And what this plugin does is let you grab the URL of any particular image, and then it'll automatically grab it and save it to your media library. right? So what I did is went to Media Library, Add New, and once that plug is installed, I can go ahead and add it pretty simply. Now the beauty of this too is that we could go ahead and drag up that other image. For example, if I was to grab the one from my desktop, that's one way to do it. And the other way to do it is to just go back over here while I'm inside of the featured content, and I could click Add Media, and that's where I can upload here, or I can insert it from a URL, etc. Okay, really simple. Now, whichever way you do it to get the image, and let me just double check over here. I want to show you installed plugins. The grab and save plugin works really well if you otherwise can't download stuff. In most cases you can, so I wouldn't worry about it too much, but I most of the time just grab this from Avo. So what I did is literally just right clicked, save image as, or I just in a Macintosh dragged it off the screen to my desktop. Okay, so don't be offset or confused by the grab and save plugin. If I use the grab and save plugin, I can just copy that image URL and paste it in as I just showed you. Next thing is in the appearance theme options. Back here at homepage, I can go ahead and add the call to action. Now for that, what I wanted to do is say to Spence, hey Spence, I've got a solution here for you and I'm sending you an email, but if you want to order this now, I can hook you up. Just click the button. And when he does, then he's taken to a page where he can immediately pay me with PayPal or credit card. And this is super easy because the price is there already. Now, in this case, I'm suggesting, hey, 99 bucks, what are you going to get? 99 bucks is going to get you set up with a placeholder, just like you see, website. And if you want, we can even do further services from there. But at a minimum, I'm going to set you up with something that for 1 year at least is going to protect and preserve your name. And if you want to do something fancier, great. If you don't, that's cool too. Next year, pay me another 99 bucks and I'll make sure that everything is working great. So that when people search out Spencer Forman, they're going to see this personal portal. Now, the beauty of this is it opens up a dialogue to lots of other things, as you can imagine, because it's super duper simple, right? I mean, there's not a lot of stuff here. But if they say, hey, what else can I do with this? Well, now they know that at least they have somebody that knows a little something about the internet, about WordPress, etc. More importantly, though, this makes it easy when you send an email out to say to Spence or Wendy or whomever it may be, hey, I've got something for you, and I think that this is a conversation that you might want to have. So what's our next step? Our next step is, now that we've got the basic site set up, we can style it. Now, out of the box, it won't look like this, so I added a little CSS, and the CSS I'm going to include here, so you don't even have to fight. If you want to make this look exactly like I'm showing, here's what the CSS looks like. In the theme options area of the parent, or in the LabZip custom of the child, if you choose to use our child theme here, we'll just include the basic child theme. Here is the exact CSS I used. There's really not much to it, as you can see. I basically hid the header and the footer. I changed the size of the main title. I hid the home widgets. Did some other nice stuff just to kind of make the picture a little bigger. And what's nice is this is also responsive. So for example, if I was to apply the resizer, you could see that no matter what size phone or device, this will look nice. So it'll work on an iPhone, iPad, tablet. I'll go a little faster here. Right? So it's just super, super basic, clean, easy. No big debate here. Okay? And that's what you want. You want something that if you show it to them, it doesn't complicate them. But the CSS is included right here. You're welcome to copy it. You're welcome to freeze this image and copy it, or you just get it at the bottom of the link here with the video. That's no problem either way. All right, so now that we've got that, what we're going to do is write an email to Spence to tell him, hey, you know what? I've got a solution for you you might be interested in. And here's how it's going to go. I'm going to open up and do this from scratch. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see. Let's do some big old font here, maybe 18 point. Hi, Spence. That's me. My name is your name here. Let's do it like that. And I'm a web designer from your location here. Here's the key. I was doing some research on attorneys in your area who specialize in area of law practice here. Okay, this is like Mad Libs. So in other words, if they were a divorce lawyer, a bankruptcy lawyer, that lets them know subconsciously or even consciously that you really had done a little research, so they're not just getting a cold call, right? I mean, they know, at least you know what area of specialty. And then you can even get geographic, right? So you could say, who specializes in area on, let's say like LaSalle Street. In Chicago. So let's say, for example, you found out whatever city you're in, the street name that they're on, right? Street name here and city, state here. Okay. I was testing a premise that shows more than 85% of professionals such as yourself have not protected their personal names on the internet. Why is this important? Well, imagine a situation where someone else is using your personal name for something like this. Now, it might be a little advanced, but what the heck? Let's do it. Let's go to ronjeremy.com. Okay. You might change it to be something a little bit more tasteful, but you know, sometimes if you keep it real. Let's say an attorney named Jeremy. Well, we got to make sure this is correct. So we say, imagine a situation where someone named, let's make this real. Let's say, start this over. Let's do this so we make it sense. So say, well, imagine your name is Ron Jeremy and someone else who is not an attorney is using your name, such as, that would not make a great first impression for clients. Have you taken the time to see whether your name is being used by anyone else in a way that does not make it clear for your clients how to find you, or for friends or relatives to do the same? I have. Let's do this. I have. And I found out that you happen to be, here's where you're going to grease them up a little bit, highly recommended by Avvo.com, yet your personal name is open for anyone else to use and unfortunately to abuse. So, now here's the solution. Well, here, check it yourself at, and this is what you can do. You can actually show them the GoDaddy because you got nothing to lose. If you tell them that their domain is available, that's okay, because ultimately, if they want to figure out how to get that and use that, no problem. What you're betting on here is not that people are smart or not smart in general. You're betting that they're lazy. And most attorneys are. If you hand them something ready to use, it's easier for them to click the button and pay with PayPal or credit card and have you take care of this than for them to figure out how to set this up. Even buying a domain name is a mystery to many of my attorney friends. So for example, if I put in Spencer Foreman, well, let's do this. Spencer. Let's make up a name, in fact. Let's do John Jingleheimer. Okay. You could just copy the search results at the top of the page here. Okay. And with that, we can post it in. Let's go back over to our text editor here. Okay. Now, the beauty of this is that we can have a situation where if you want to set up your own domain name and simple but clear landing page, I'm happy to help you do that at no charge. Just give me a buzz at and your phone number here, or I should say or your email. But to make this super easy, I've already created one as a placeholder for you, and I'm suggesting to other, and let's make it personal, and it would be wonderfully easy if you agreed that something like this ready to use would be worth, say, $99 a year for you. Here is the placeholder I've set up for you to have a look. And then this is where we're going to go ahead and grab our sample domain. Now this is going to be a subdomain. As I've taught you in the other courses, and just to say it to you here, each client would have a unique subdomain. So in this case, I called it attorney1234, but I could have called it Spencer Foreman, Spencer Lewis Foreman, dot, and then my client domain. So in this case, I use 1WD client, but you're going to have your own subdomain. Yours could be Joe's Web Design. So spencerforeman.joeswebdesign.com. Either way you do it, and again, if you want to check out that Earn 3K course at 1WD TV, that might help. You're going to go ahead and add that in here. So we're going to go back. Either way, I hope you understand that my goal is to help attorneys such as yourself to realize and perhaps fix any potential disasters that may await if some kid or unscrupulous individual were to start using their own personal name. Even though you show up at your business website, this is not what would appear first in Google if someone you met professionally or personally were to type in your name. See for yourself. And here's where I'll put that proof in. So for example here, remember I typed in a Google search for google.com. I typed in Spencer Foreman, right? So you can just type this URL in. And again, you're going to check this out for each person. So you're going to know in advance, obviously before you send this email, what the results are going to look like. Thanks for your time. Oh, one thing I want to say. Please note, if you like what you see and want to get this set up with no effort, just click the big blue button for PayPal or credit card. If not, please accept my suggestions or offer of free advice for contacting me. A smiley face. And let's spread those out a little bit. And I'm going to highlight this. And let's highlight this. I want them to get that attention. Okay. Thanks for your time, and best of luck to you in future diverse. Cheers. And your name here. Okay, I just put the smiley face. Okay, so now let's save this. Okay, now we got that saved. So this is what we're going to now do. Let's review what we've got. We started out with our Bluehost reseller account. We got a 1995 account. We wanted to go ahead and use this to hold any number of prospect sites that take us just a minute or two to set up. Really no time at all. We're going to go ahead and use our responsive parent theme. If we want, we can use the responsive child theme too, but not even necessary because the only CSS we're going to need is that little snippet. We went to avo.com for a city of our choosing. Here I went to Chicago, and we started looking for attorneys perhaps in a certain area. And when we did, we found somebody that maybe had a name that we wanted. Let's go to Chicago again. Let's go Amy Delaney, right? Oops, Amy Delaney's not there. Let's find another one. Matthew Basinger. And I'm just clicking randomly. So here's Matthew Randall Basinger. Next, we wanted to check a couple things. First of all, he doesn't show a website here. That's actually not a bad thing because he may be too young or he may be working for a firm. We could find out. If we searched him, we'd find out probably because here he's on 180 North LaSalle. Oh, this is so funny. He works for Don Shapiro. Don Shapiro is an attorney I know very well. He used to be next door to me in my own office at 180 North LaSalle. I was at Suite 1800. Very small world. So anyway, that's the firm he works for. If we open up Don's offices, it's a really, really small world indeed. So if we open up Don's offices, he's got a website and everything is fine when this eventually opens. And we could probably find, obviously, more information about how to contact Matthew here. If we were to say contact us, or we might look at our staff. There's probably an email for him here. There he is in the picture. Next step is we went ahead and took his name and either the whole thing or part of it, and we went to GoDaddy, or we're going to go to GoDaddy. Put it in there. Oops, we want to make sure we don't put results, sorry. Let's clean that up. So we got Matthew Randall Basinger. Of course, it's available, and I'll bet that it's also available like this. Let's see. I'm almost never... See, look at this. I could probably show you, I don't have the time to show you. I could probably go down all of the AVA lawyers, and like I say, 85% or more do not have their personal name. So next, now that I've verified he works at a firm, they got a website, I've got his email contact, I got his Avo contact, I took his Avo contact stuff, and I put it into a demo site that I set up, again, on my Bluehost reseller, and I went into the theme options, homepage, overrode the WordPress front page option. I put his first name, attorney at law. I pasted in the contact info with address and phone. I did the map from Avo. I did the website URL for, in this case, Don Shapiro. I put his email address in that I discovered. Then I went ahead and got his image and downloaded it from Avo, uploaded it here. Next is I set up a call to action that went to inspirepay.com, where I set up for free a PayPal or a Stripe credit card portal. And I've shown this in another video as well, but you can literally set this up in just about 5 minutes for free so that you can have a direct link for people to pay you, just like I have here, right? Any amount you wish. If I change the URL to $99, that's the 99 bucks. So I went ahead and put that link right in here. And I also changed the blue call to action button to say, in this case, it'd say Matthew, order now. In my case, I was sending it to Spencer Foreman, so it says Spencer, order now. Save the options. And then last, I went under the CSS styles and pasted in this CSS here that gave me the final result. Super easy. Next step I did is I went ahead and drafted an email that I'll give you a copy of here that gives you everything ready for you to do, and just change your location, your name, your city, state to make sure it matches up with Matthew or whomever you're sending out. And be sure to put in the unique URL that you have as a subdomain for each of these prospects. Now, last but not least, if you want, you can use a basic spreadsheet just to keep track of your prospecting. I use Google Docs spreadsheets, and I just literally put the name of the person, the Avvo URL, and the URL of the demo site that I've set up, and that makes it super easy to keep track. Once you send these out, you might send out 5 or 10, maybe make it a goal of sending out 1 or 2 a day. The whole point is that you're pushing a potential solution onto somebody who is potentially going to respond. I don't know how many would, it might be 1 out of 10, but when they do, A, you get $99, B, you open up a conversation about what other things they could do. Maybe Matthew decides that he really could use a personal website that has more details than this. Even if you just end up giving them free advice and they give you a phone call, that might lead to another source of business. There are no such thing as a bad lead as long as you handle yourself respectfully, you do things properly, and you make sure, especially with lawyers, just don't do anything to piss them off because they just love making trouble for people. But here, this is a real gratuitous thing. Not many attorneys would get upset from getting a simple email that points out something that exposes them if they didn't address it, right? You don't have to have them pay you. They don't have to pay you. But the fact that you brought this to their attention means, hey, you might have done them a favor. This is Spence, the evil genius. I'll see you next time.